Hi everyone, it's Jenna, and I realized that it had been a while since I had put up some new content, so I wanted to get a video out to you all. I had to wash my hair just now, so I have trigeminal neuralgia. If you also have trigeminal neuralgia, then you understand the pain. I mean, I can't just stress to you the word pain enough. The pain that's involved in that process. So I'm going to try to get this video wrapped up fairly concisely. I don't want to say short because I don't want to shortchange what I'm going to talk about, but I probably won't be able to talk at length because the pain, I can feel it escalating as I speak. So let's get to it. The topic I want to talk about today is ableism. Yes, I said it. It's ableism. Now, if you're not familiar with what that means, then you probably don't understand why I'm acting like it's such a bad word. Ableism is a form of discrimination where some people think, and they act on those thoughts, that people with disabilities, whatever kind of disability it may be, that those people are less than or inferior to people who don't have disabilities. So, yeah, it's a pretty nasty thing. It's disgusting. Why did that come in my mind? Well, the reason it came into my mind is because I've been seeing a lot of this stay hard or stay tough movement or life theory or whatever you want to call it. But there's like this trend of people just putting themselves through feats of physical endurance when they're acutely ill. So they have like bronchitis or pneumonia or broken bone, or the list goes on and on. And they're basically saying that by doing these feats, they are quote unquote staying hard or staying tough. They're basically trying to achieve some sort of self-improvement through putting themselves, choosing to undertake these feats of physical endurance, which are temporary feats. So it's not like they are going to just endlessly climb a mountain or endlessly run into oblivion, So that's something to note. And I'll get more to that point later. But essentially that's loosely this idea, this concept that's going around. And it got me thinking, because on the face of it, I was like, yeah, that sounds nice. Through suffering comes growth. And do I believe that? Yeah, sure. A core part of me absolutely believes that through suffering comes growth. But the type of suffering is very important. And what do I mean by that? Well, you can look at, very generally speaking, you can look at suffering as two different types. The type of suffering that you choose. So, training for and running an ultramarathon, that would be a choice. You don't have to do that to live. It's a choice. Do you suffer as you're doing it? Yeah. But you don't have to do it. It's a choice. And then there's suffering that's not a choice. So having a chronic, debilitating neurological condition. That's not a choice. Fibromyalgia would be an example of that. Trigeminal neuralgia, what I have, is an example of that. And, you know, the list goes on and on. Those things aren't choices. Do they cause suffering? Definitely. But they're not choices. Now, we can look at suffering from another perspective and break it into general terms in that way as well. Suffering can not only be a choice or something that is just put upon us out of our control. Suffering can also be either temporary or long-term or permanent. So running a marathon or climbing a mountain, that's temporary suffering, because at some point it will end. No one just endlessly climbs a mountain. I don't think there's even a mountain tall enough to endlessly climb it. I guess maybe they could just endlessly climb up and down the mountain, but nobody does that. Same thing for like marathon running. Nobody just endlessly runs. I mean, I think there was like a guy on like one of those shows that like he had a strange addiction where he just cycled on a bicycle for like 18 hours a day, but even he stopped at some point. So that's temporary suffering, short term. On the other hand, you have long-term / permanent suffering. That would be something like a chronic health condition, like diabetes. That's a chronic health condition that can cause suffering. Trigeminal neuralgia, that is a chronic health condition that can cause suffering. CRPS, that's another one. These are chronic conditions that cause suffering. So the suffering doesn't end. It's always there. Whether you're asleep, whether you're awake, it's always with you 24/7. There may be times when the pain is a little bit less or a little bit more, but it's always there. So, when you think about it in those terms, the type of suffering that the people in this Stay Hard or Stay Tough movement are subjecting themselves to is suffering by choice, and it's short-term or temporary. So they're choosing what type of suffering they're going to do, and that suffering will end at some point. So can growth come from that? The same way that it comes from suffering that is out of our control, that we didn't put on ourselves, things like chronic illnesses. Or suffering that is long-term or permanent. I don't think so. And on top of that, the implication of this movement is that if you're not doing these feats of chosen temporary suffering that are so overt, then you're not hard. That's the implication, really. When we boil it down to its very core, that's the implication. If you're not climbing mountains with pneumonia, then you're not hard. Even though eventually You will stop climbing that mountain at some point. And most likely, eventually, that pneumonia will heal up. You're not hard. So, to me, when I realized that, I thought, wow, this movement at its core really is ableism. And I'm not saying it's intentional. It might be, it might not be. But really, at its core, it is ableism, because those of us living in chronic pain, we are probably not out there climbing mountains or running ultra marathons. Some of us might be, depending on what level of pain that they have and exactly what's going on with them. But most of us, especially those of us who are living in 24/7, non-stop, debilitating pain, we're not doing these incredible feats, of physical endurance. Sometimes our win is waking up, getting out of bed, and taking care of just the daily things of life. When you're at a level 9 pain, not going to the emergency room, being able to sit down and just endure the pain outside of the hospital, that is staying hard. So I really encourage those people who are supporting this Stay Hard or Stay Tough movement to rethink and reshift their focus on the core value of what they are putting out there. Because if they don't, then it's just going to continue to perpetuate ableism in our society. And believe me, ableism is one of the isms. All the isms need to go away. As a chronic pain warrior, ableism directly affects me, and it just needs to be gone. People need to stop putting chronic pain and any type of disability in the mindset of being inferior. Because to get through a day, like I said, to get through a day when you're at a level 8 or 9 pain, that's staying hard, that's staying tough. And anyone who says it's not just doesn't know. So, and I'm not going to change their mind with one video. I'm not out to change their mind. I'm just out to bring awareness to this issue. You don't have to agree with me. If you don't agree with me, you probably don't have chronic pain. I'm just going to say it. Maybe you do, and you're just at that stage where, this is new for you. That's fine. Or maybe you have been suffering with chronic pain a lot longer than me, and you still just disagree with me, and that's fine too. But for me, when I realized that Stay Hard movement really does reinforce ableism in our society, I just felt disgusted. And for me, once I feel disgusted, that's when I know I've become aware of something new. And then that's when I know that I can maybe start bringing awareness to other people who may not have thought about it in that way. Because I know I've heard people say things to me before that I was like, I never thought of it that way. But now I see. And so that's what I think we're here to do is, those of us with chronic pain, whenever we do get a chance to voice our situation and bring awareness to the problems that in society that make life even worse for us, we need to bring a light to that and awareness. And so hopefully that's what I've done in talking about this. I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, and I don't want to say that anyone is intentionally participating in this ableism that I'm talking about. But hopefully, people will just give a second thought before they decide what they think staying hard is. And maybe ask themselves to think about the worst pain they've ever had in their life, and then imagine if that pain never went away, if they would be able to do all the things that they expect us chronic pain warriors to do, that we may or may not be able to always do. So I hope you guys will like and subscribe to my channel. I don't always bring up controversial topics, and I really don't feel like this is that controversial. Maybe it is, but I try to keep it informative, and I don't bring politics to my channel. I just think it's counterproductive, because everybody's gonna have their own opinion on that, and to me that's what makes a democracy able to flourish and improve over time, is people of different thoughts coming together and trying to figure out a new, better way to move forward. So that's why I don't engage in politics. It's just not productive in any way. But I do engage in social awareness on issues that are related to chronic pain. I have really pushed myself talking this long, but it is such an important topic to me. Please, if you've watched this video and you realize that you have been somebody who has been an ableist, you have thought that people with disabilities are less than or inferior, please take a minute to become self-aware and just stop doing it. Rethink what it means to be tough, and try to have some, not sympathy, empathy. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Always try to do that before you talk or before you act. And if we all do that, I think the world will be a better place. But until we get to that point, at least just try to be kind to each other and kind to yourselves. So you all take care. Have a great night or day, whatever time this is for you. I'm getting ready to try and go to sleep. Sleep for chronic pain sufferers is another topic for another video, but wish me well as I do you. Thanks for watching.